أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and viewers of all ages. My name is Reg, and I am the host of NJSSL Reflections. Thank you for joining us on this fine day, or night, or evening, or whatever time it may be where you're watching this show. Today, we have a very special guest on the show. He is the founder and commissioner of the NJSSL. He's the one and only Ali Shah. And today, we're going to be talking about the role that Azadari has played in his life and the role that it can play in all of our lives to make us better humans, friendlier people, better followers of the Ahlul Bayt, and better believers in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So basically, how he's going to tell us about how Azadari has helped himself and kind of his story to become basically a better person. And we hope that we can all learn from it, and it can be encouraging to us to become better too. So, inshallah, without further ado, I'd like to invite you, my man Ali Shah, to join the podcast. Assalamu alaikum, Ali Shah. How's it going, boss?
Alhamdulillah, bro. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be back on the cutting Reg.
Oh yeah. Well, reflections, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're happy to have you here, and I mean we're all happy to have you here because I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, there it is. All right. But anyways, so how's your Muharram been going so far, my man?
So far, so good, bro. Alhamdulillah. Like, this is the part of year where I personally look uh, forward to every year, especially like the Azadari season, especially. We have the Astana Azadari here tonight at Astana. So I can't wait for that. NGA was great. AZH was great. So inshallah, tonight goes well as well. Hope to see everybody there.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like every year the Shabadari becomes bigger and bigger, and there's more and more involvement. It seems like more and more people are coming from not just out of the state but out of the country to get involved with it. How do you feel like the Shabadaris have played a role in your life?
So basically, for me, my dad would always attend these Kabadaris, especially at MFI and Astana ever since I was a kid. And it wasn't really until like 2018, 2019 that I started to be like, okay, like this is cool in the sense that, the entire community, not only from New Jersey, but New York is there, people from Virginia, people, from out of the country, as you said. I found something like extremely cool in that. And then obviously all the reciters, uh, like it's a beautiful thing in my opinion, and then like the more I grow, the more I learn, the more I realize like how truly special a thing like this is. When Sachibai, he started this, almost 40 years ago, mashallah. Now look how much it's grown, and like it's only growing. uh so yeah, like
Alhamdulillah.
it's a beautiful thing. NJA, especially last week, they did a great initiative where they rented a whole bus and brought down like 50 people just from Jersey itself to the Maryland Shabadari. So that's a shout out to NGA, especially to Shabibai. As we said, like it's only trying to get better, and inshallah, hopefully tonight goes well, and then in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely special shout out to Shabui. Lion on the defensive line, lion in the heart of Shias everywhere.
Champion on and
Um,
off the field.
there you go. There you go. No, that's good. It's definitely encouraging, and it's actually interesting that you pointed out how there's a great sense of community when we have these shabidaris, right? And it's similar to kind of what you've created with the NJSSL, right? It's kind of the purpose of it is to foster community. And so I guess what I'd like to kind of get your take on is how has Azadari in general, as like a concept, helped you develop this value of community and kind of help, basically lead us to where we are, lead you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the thing is, what I find special in Matam and like in Majlis is the fact that there's so many people there for a purpose more than just themselves. They're there, everyone, is on the same platform. It doesn't matter what your occupation is. It doesn't, like, who cares how much you make, what kind of person you are. Once you're on the Farshiaza, everybody is the same. And the fact that, especially in Matam, like everyone, I find something really special. Everyone on the same beat at the same time to the same, to the same Noha. And that's the kind of stuff you miss, right? Like you feed off of everyone's, I don't know, like an energy is the word, but that's the word I'm going to use for now. Because we all feel, some kind of sadness for what happened, the tragedy of Imam Hussein and everything that he sacrificed for, like in the Battle of Karbala.
Yeah.
And then, especially as I said, Shabadaris and Matam, it brings everyone together, not only in the sense that we all see each other, but we all do the same thing at the same time.
Yeah. No, and it's a great way to kind of describe it like that, because you'll often see, regardless of where you are, what community you belong to, whether you're, South Asian or Arab or Irani or anything, you'll see 3, 4, 5 year old kids also right there amongst the mix of, like, teenagers, adults, people that are almost like 90, almost 100 years old, still standing there doing Motham, trying to keep that beat, all for the greater cause and all for the remembrance of Mullah Imam Hussein, alayhi salam. So, it's nice when you kind of put it that way. Like, Motham very much does have like a community feel to it, kind of on its own. Um, how do you feel like outside of Majlis, or outside of Motham, and kind of outside of your comfortable zone within the Shia world, do you feel like having this sense of community and having Azadari makes you or like has it made you a better person or a different person, with your everyday colleagues at work or school or wherever?
Yeah, well, 100%. That's a great question as well. One thing I would say is that Azadari, I'll make the analogy of sports. You know how we played every Sunday, or how I love to watch sports, as you know, football, baseball, etc. How like it's a way out of the everyday life, of the stress of work, the stress of school. All the extracurriculars that happen, that come with the aspect of life. It's more of like a coping thing. Like you're so focused on school, work, you're so stressed on everything that for me, like when I play sports, that is the only thing I worry about, and I have so much fun. And then obviously in Muharram, like the only thing that we have to worry about is is attending the madlis, is attending
Yeah.
Azadari, to take some lessons, from the speeches that you hear, from the Nohe online, in person. Like I learn more and more every year. There's a bug over here, my bad.
It's
Uh,
all good.
but yeah, like
See, here's the thing, shot that you're saying such beautiful things. That bug just wanted to become near you for what you're saying, because it's
yeah,
that attractive. Sorry, go on.
yeah, no, but like as I said, like it's a beautiful thing to get, like it's a way out, just to focus on what's more important than just yourself. Because anything that you do in life, whether it's league, whether it's work, whether it's school, like that's not what you'll take to the grave with you. What you're gonna take to the grave with you is how you treated people, what kind of person you were, what did you learn, from the madrasas? How did you carry yourself, in front of your own people, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, things like that. So as far as the whole Shia aspect of outside of our community, I do think that Azadari has played like a prominent role, just because of the fact that like it's such a beautiful thing, and like it's something instilled in you. And inshallah, we hope to get more people outside of our faith to like see what we're actually about.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is that through the lessons of Karbala, through the lessons of um, the entire events of Karbala, going into Sham and etc. You learn that there's a bigger purpose, and that kind of it almost, it humbles you in a way, and kind of through that humility, it helps you kind of interact with others and remain humble in that sense. And you mentioned it earlier about it's important, how you make people feel, and it kind of brings back like a quote that is a somewhat common quote, I think, that people use in like daily life or whatever, that people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, right? And so I feel like definitely the teachings of the imams and the events of the Battle of Karbala and everything definitely kind of shows you that there's definitely a bigger picture to life. And there's even like we complain about all of our small problems all the time, but whenever we're at the majlis, we forget those small problems, and those become irrelevant as they are, as they should be, because there's just bigger things. So it's a beautiful lesson to kind of describe there.
Yeah.
How do you feel like when you're like so I grew up seeing you as like this little kid, right? Like you were maybe like 6, 7. I mean, that would have made me like 15, 16 or whatever. Coming to AZ, and I've watched you grow up, and I feel like as you've grown up, and even from like a young age, you were very active within the community in a sense. As considering for whatever age you were. How, in what ways do we start encouraging basically young kids, youth, etc., like even kids as young as like 5 to 10, like how do we encourage them to be more active in Azadari and these other programs and stuff that we have going on?
So that I would say is a testament to my dad, who would always take me, to his mother's, like regardless of the circumstance, and then obviously a lot of the uncles, back in the day, who we'd always see, who would set a great example, for us, for a lot of my friends, the whole, the AZ Doll crew, we all
Yeah.
came, from the same, forefathers, I guess you could say, with Nasser uncle, he was a big pillar, uh, Asana Hustle uncle, obviously, Kalu, et cetera, et cetera. So we had all these great people to look up to. And not only were they at the forefront of, Azadari, they would always come and volunteer. They would always, teach us and treat us so nicely. And, that is the kind of thing that I would want a kid to come, to the majlis. And I think that's the most important thing. Azadari, the whole involvement itself will come. I think showing up is the big thing. But the question is, how do we make these kids show up? And it's not their fault, that kids don't show up. A lot of it has to do with, how they feel that they're treated in the community. And I
Mhm.
will say that, not myself personally, alhamdulillah, but I know a lot of people that, who, as much as they love Azadari, as much as they love, attending and hearing these speeches, just because of the culture in some of these places, just because of like how some people treat them, especially uncles and aunties. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but this is just like the consensus that I got, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant
I
here.
don't think anybody would say that you're wrong about what you're saying, but
I'm gonna
sorry,
go
go ahead.
on. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. Like, the whole judgmental aspect of, oh, he wore this, she wore this, he does this for a job, she did that with this person. Like, that entire thing is what pushes every single person away from coming to these majlises, from coming, into the halqas, things like that. Because, like, if your image, if your perception is not good because of other people within your own community, then all you have really is all the people outside of our faith, outside of the community. And I'm sure they're great people, right? Like, I'm not trying to say you can't hang out with all these other people.
Yeah, of
There,
course.
I have a ton of amazing friends who are not from our faith, but at the same time, right, like, all you really have to fall back on is the sense that, hey, I'm gonna go to this madras, I'm gonna go to the Shabadari, I'm gonna have all these people like, who support me, who care for me regardless of what the heck I do. uh, and you want to set that example for the youth the same way our forefathers did, especially at Astana. So now, like, we do preach emphasis even today with the whole AHK. NJA does an amazing job of this, of having the youth at the forefront, right smack in the middle of the halqa. Who cares if they're offbeat? Having them there is the most important thing, because there's been times where I was a kid and I got pushed outside of the halqa, to the outside for whatever reason, right? So, we don't want those kids to feel the same way. We want to feel everybody included. And the Azadari aspect, they'll learn everything as they grow up as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely by basically almost like encouraging them to be front and center. They're gonna get excited, and I'm sure they feel probably very different than how like you and I felt like if we were like trying to get in the middle of it and couldn't.
Yeah. Struggle back
So
and forth.
I definitely can echo those feelings. But yeah, so it's kind of nice to have that and to be able to do that. Um, Okay, then I guess the last question for now, and this has been a great discussion, by the way. I very much appreciate you taking the time to kind of join us
No, thank
and give
you,
us your
man.
thoughts here. But how do we incorporate the spirit of Azah, the Battle of Karbala? How do we incorporate all the major lessons that we're supposed to be taking away or that we will, inshallah, have taken away over the last month and a well, I guess at this point it's been like a month and almost a half.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully it'll be ultimately roughly 2 months, a little bit more,
yeah.
when we're done, and by the time basketball season rolls around, which we'll also talk about in a little bit. But how do we incorporate all these things into the NJSSL?
Yeah, I mean, that has been the goal, since the first day, and I'll be the first to admit that, like, obviously, it's a work in progress, not only for for other people, especially myself. Me and my tantrums. I'm inshallah we fix that. Especially right after Muharram. But like that's the whole point, right? Like the whole it builds character, and you reflect on the teachings of what you learned, in Ramzan and Muharram. And a big thing that I learned, like in the like as far like as a battle is concerned, like is loyalty and trust. And like all you really have is your own people. Like for like the example of Hazrat Abbas and how he was always there for Imam Hussein until the end. He had his arms cut off and everything, and like until the very end when he went to go and get the water for Bibi Sakina, and then obviously he couldn't. That was that's something that hits you really hard, and like you want to be there, for your family, for your friends, for each other, the same way Hazrat Abbas was. And the other thing is the respect thing. So the analogy I'll make, because this is something that I personally have made a mistake in, like a lot of other people as well, complaining about the refs, complaining about fouls, talking in WhatsApp groups, et cetera, et cetera. When in the grand scheme of things, like not any of that is really
None of it's
important,
important at the end of the day.
right? You could throw all that out the window because like there's argument, oh, this is not fair, oh, this is rigged, this is et cetera, et cetera. What was really not fair was the 72 at Garbala versus the hundreds of thousands of people like in Yazid's army. That's not fair. When you don't have freaking water, for your kid, for your 6 month old, that's not fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things like that. So in the grand scheme of things, like all the fouls, all the other stuff is not important at all. And that's hopefully something I'm trying to instill in myself. Like, hey, like that, like that's the motto of the league. Like it's bigger than sports. I'm trying to instill in myself, and hopefully some other people could take that lesson as well. Uh, but yeah, like respect, competition isn't the most important thing. It's the fact that we're all together. It's the fact that we're all of the same faith, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of just to bring in a callback, from what we said a little bit earlier, that it's we go to the majlis, we attend the majlis, we stay involved, in these months, um, and for a bigger cause, where we will put aside our own small problems for the remembrance of the Ahlul Bayt. And it's I don't I we have to kind of bring that ideology and keep that in mind when we're playing basketball too, right? We're doing this as a community to to play together, and if there's small issues or there's issues and stuff on the court, and the refs and this and that, at the end of the day, we got to put that aside and say, hey man, we're a community, we're believers together. We always got to stay true to ourselves like that. So definitely. So actually, with that being said, let me divert this into a little bit of a different pathway. So to put this out more or less out there, that was our kind of reflections episode, and we're going to have a little bit short discussion, a little bit of a cutting edge coming back. But the what I want to know, Shah, is we have our player list almost complete, for the NJSSL, fourth season, alhamdulillah, of NJSSL basketball. Inshallah, fourth out of many seasons to come. But what I'm interested to know is, what are the team names going to be this year? Are we going with the like the 72, the Karbala Warrior? Are we doing something like that, or are we keeping it more like standard?
So a lot of people have asked me this question, and as of right now, I don't have a set answer on that. But we are trying to cook up something really cool, and I do personally want to add a Shia touch to the league. I
Make it
think,
unique.
alhamdulillah, yeah, exactly, right? Like, alhamdulillah, we've had these teams, NFL, NBA, college teams that have gotten us to this point. So now the league is established. Now it's time we add the Shia touch to it. So inshallah, like we're working on a few things, and like those things, if they don't work out, we always have the NBA team, we always have the college team. So as far as that, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I have an answer for that. But
All right.
until then, I got nothing.
All right, no worries, no worries, no worries. Fair enough. Well, we look forward to whatever you have, that you're cooking up there. Meanwhile, I know there's a lot of changes that you have mentioned are going to be implemented in this new season. So tell us about some of those changes and what we can look forward to, kind of with this upcoming season coming up.
Yeah, so we wanted to make it more inclusive for everybody. Obviously, playing time has been, a big issue for the last few years. So obviously, with the interest that we have, with the amount of people that love playing in here, with the amount of people that understand the purpose of this, we thought it'd be a solid idea to increase the number of teams to 12. So then
Mm-hmm.
it's less players per team, which
Mm-hmm.
equals more playing time for
Per
each player.
person. Yeah.
So we thought that that would be a solid idea, especially now that we have Iron Peak starting in week 4. So that's 3 courts. So it's 3 games at the same time. So we're all out in 2 hours. So that's a good segue into our next change where I was like, hey, like last season we got robbed of trying to watch NFL, especially in the playoffs. We missed like the wild card games, the divisional rounds. And especially
Yeah.
as a Jets fan, I would totally expect them to be there in January. So I'm not trying to be playing
Very wishful
basketball
thinking there, Shah. Just
and
Rogers alone cannot make that change, but all right, well, we'll see what happens.
yeah, no, we'll see. But that was a big request, for a lot of people, and obviously, like it's tough, right? Like we have to balance everything out. I don't think people really see how much work really goes into it because, as far as the schedule and timings go, location is a big, is a big thing. Timing is a big thing. We have people that come from Pennsylvania, from South Jersey, from
Yeah.
far up north, in North Jersey, and then based on the silence, we have people in New York. We have people coming from PA, people from Virginia and Delaware. So it's like it's really cool to see how much we've expanded. So timing, having the earlier starts and finishes is another change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, so the most important thing, especially that we had this conversation about the whole Muharram stuff, is that treating each other with respect and controlling our emotions would be the most paramount. And obviously, I have a lot to work on with that. I'll be the first to admit, but we will be really on top of that kind of behavior, and it will not be tolerated. Both on the court, on the sidelines, in the WhatsApp groups, whatever it may be, because it just causes too much chaos, right? Like that
Yeah.
is not what we're trying to build here. And obviously, right, like you could do all these things to us, call the league, criticize. That's all fine. We'll take all of it. Everyone like is always welcome, but controlling the emotions and then showing progress, I think, is the most important thing. We give the example of Hazrat Hur and how when the caravan came, I believe it was to Sham, and
Yeah.
then Hazrat Hur was in charge of telling Imam Hussein to pledge allegiance to Yazid. But then he got a change of heart. He changed his mind. He improved himself, and then he was one of the toughest soldiers for Imam Hussein. And then if you want to talk stats, just to go back to the to the previous conversation a little bit,
Yeah.
uh, stats as far as the league, that's still happening. Alhamdulillah for all the volunteers. But if you want to look at the stats from the Battle of Karbala, like I saw it on Shia tweets, like how's it the boss? Like he was a baller. Like I saw the stats. Like I don't. I wish I had it up to show everybody. But
Yeah.
you know the amount of fear he struck into the hearts of the opponents was something that I'm like, wow, like Hazrat the boss is like he's that
he's
guy. I guess we could
he's
say like I don't know how to say it, but I hope you get the point. Hazrat Hor,
yeah.
he was huge for the caravan. Hazrat Ali Akbar as well. He's something that, like he's a figure that we all look up to
Yeah.
because the age and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like what you're trying to say is that we hope that our players can model or
use
make
that as a role model
Hazrat
exactly.
Abbas, Hazrat Ali Akbar, Hazrat Qasim, that all
because
of
you
the
never
men in
because
the
from them
group.
you'll never hear any kind of complaining. You'll never hear, oh, it's not fair. You like they just straight went on onto that field and balled out, right? Like that's
Right,
what they did.
right. They did what they had to do in that. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. That's a good analogy, Shah. But yeah. So inshallah, we can make them our role models, and we can go out there and have inshallah the best season yet of
I hope
NJSSL. Inshallah, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, as I'm sure are all the viewers. On a side note, keep viewers keep a lookout for the next Cutting Reg episode, which will be coming back within the next 1 to 2 weeks, inshallah, just before the draft. And inshallah, we look forward to having lots of analyses and discussions and review of the statistics and everything that at that time. Commissioner, do you have any final words for our viewers today?
If anyone is interested in sponsoring the NJSL season, we have a ton of upgraded packages that are available, and obviously they're up for negotiation. We want to use our platform to push, other Shia brands, to have exposure. So inshallah, reach out to me. But yeah, no. Outside of that, looking forward to a strong end. To Muharram. Excited for the Shabadai tonight, and then inshallah we have a great season for basketball. Just keep a lookout in the WhatsApp chats. Hop on the website, install the app, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Shah, just as another thing to give a shout out to, which is in addition to any sort of shout outs you can get on the Cutting Reg when you are sponsoring for the NJSSL, the one shout I do want to give is to our friends in Atlanta, actually. So I was actually there like a month ago or so, right before Muharram, and they actually had put together like a basketball tournament that when I was there, I was talking to one of the guys who had put it together. Shout out to Mehdi Shirazi from Atlanta. He actually he basically talked to me a bunch about like how the NJSSL, like seeing the NJSSL thrive was kind of what pushed him and the guys down in Atlanta to make their own kind of basically Atlanta SSL, if you will. But I guess that would be called the ASSL. So I don't know if that's what we want to call it. But inshallah, shout out to those guys doing good things. It sounds like a bunch of Shia leagues are also popping up kind of throughout the country, is from what I've heard. Inshallah, we look forward to supporting you guys as well in any way that we can. And inshallah, we have one day the goal it's got to be a national Shia sports basketball tournament, or some sort of tournament. So that'll be cool.
Inshallah, sounds good, bro.
Inshallah.
Hey,
Thank you again, Shah, for. Sorry, go ahead. Were you gonna say
no,
something?
no, it's fine. I was just gonna say, like, if anyone needs any, help in trying to organize anything, not only with sports, I'm always here. So feel free to reach out.
Ali-Ahmed Shah. He is one of a kind. He is a key player. One might say he's the key ingredient. If the entire state of New Jersey is a cake, Ali Shah is the flour. It cannot exist without him. So, inshallah, we thank you again, Commissioner, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you tonight at the Azadari, and inshallah, in many days to come. And we look forward to the next season of NJSSL basketball.
Sounds good, bro. Hopefully, run the same team.
Yes, sir. Inshallah, inshallah. I look forward to that. Just don't yell at me, but it sounds good. Sounds good. Well, until then, folks, we hope you have a good rest of your day. Inshallah, we'll see you tonight, and everyone else have a good, rest of your Muharram. Shabbat khair, my
Everyone.
friends.
Obvious.
No, Khudafiz. It's still going. I don't know. It should stop. And then I don't know. It's still saying stopping. I don't know why it's still saying stopping.